This meeting
It's really amazing what's going on. I don't think so this morning. You've been on it. Needs to know.
Well, it's 10:30. Let's come to order. I'm waiting for Scott to come back, but he's filling up his water bottle. My name is Bill Shy, and I'm the chairman. I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting. And let's start with a moment of silence. Amen. We have a relatively short agenda because we're not really going to be considering anything to do with the zoning ordinance today because that is going to the council tonight. So if you came to participate in a discussion about that, I'm sorry. But it's always great. I did want to, I met Priscilla Hayner for the first time, and I want to thank her and the Hayner group, family, whatever y'all want to be designated. Y'all have been very helpful and cordial, and we appreciate it. I think that everything has been improved. We didn't make all the changes you wanted, but we made a good deal of it. So thank you for that, and we appreciate your being here. We have the minutes of the last meeting on May 13th. Have you all had a chance to review them? Is there a motion to approve them?
I have just one comment, maybe two. The third heading down, presentation of Montreat draft steep slope management concept plan. I think maybe should probably be stormwater management concept plan.
Yeah.
The only other thing, there was a sentence in the grammatical paragraph immediately after that heading. The next to the last sentence reads, Mr. Orman stated that Blue Earth visited each noted site in the residence survey and all issues were localized, meaning it was erosion of some need for maintenance. I couldn't really make out the meaning of that sentence. I was going to suggest we maybe put a period after all, because they did visit each site noted in the residence survey period. But other than that, I have no other.
What I think that means, if you put a comma after localized, it makes sense, because what he was saying that they were all local issues.
Okay. Then let's put the comma.
Site issues, and then he was trying to say what it meant.
Okay.
So if we put a comma after localized, I think that will take care of it.
All right.
Is there a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion for
There's
those
second.
two changes.
Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor of the amendment first, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. And then all in favor of the amendments as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
And by the way, I had made one very minor change that Angie already corrected, just misspelling the name.
Okay.
My name. I don't think it's increase in discussion.
Okay, great. Next on the agenda is to discuss what we're going to be doing over the next few months. We don't really have any final edits to the zoning ordinance that I know of. That's going to be going before the council tonight. And I think my commission has deserted me. I think I'll be the only one there for the commission, because Mason's going to Maine, and Dan has got an old friend that he's going to be with tonight, he and his wife. So we'll miss them, but y'all be kind to us tonight. when you go through the-
Go after him, guys. Cut it loose.
I'll be there in case you pass out.
Yes, I know. That's right.
Just some support.
So if there's any other discussion on the zoning ordinance that we need to have, anybody got any?
I'll just make a quick reminder to speak into our microphones just for anyone that's watching us online. Everybody just pull your microphone right up and speak into it, please.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is this on, Alex? Okay, great. I would like to say thank you again to all the members of the commission and to our staff, both present and past, and working on this for now over 2 years. And a lot of people have done a lot of different things. Mason and Dan did most of the drafting, but all the members of the commission participated in very thorough ways, and I know the community will be grateful to them for that service. Wade, you had a lot of help particularly too. So thank you all very much. The next meeting date, well, a reminder under 7, first bullet of the meeting tonight. So I will be there in Roman numeral 6, discussing our next meeting dates. Scott has suggested July the 8th, which would be the second Thursday. That happens to be my 54th wedding anniversary. So I'd like to move it to a different day if we could do that. And since the 1st is around the 4th, could we meet on the 3rd Thursday? How would that be with everybody?
The 15th
That would be the 15th of July.
works for me.
Fine with me.
Okay. Alex and Angie, is that okay with y'all? Scott, is that gonna be okay with y'all?
That's fine.
Right, okay. So our next meeting will be July the 15th at 10:30 in the morning. It will begin to take up, as you can see on today's agenda on topics. We've got to get the quote, final unquote report from Mary Roderick and Blue Earth Engineering, and they've been working on the stormwater management, as you know. Scott is going to report back. He's been working on the erosion and sediment control. We still have to continue the discussion on those 5 or so areas that Scott had brought to our attention, among which were setbacks and nonconformities. I know Dan has participated a lot in the thinking beyond that, and we'll do that. And then we'll begin to take up the hillside development, and we'll just see how far we progress on that. Any questions?
Scott, I'll maybe try to get with you between now and then and maybe come up with some language on some of those issues we were talking about, what constitutes a building and construction, whether you're going up or out or
Sure.
around about and all that.
I'm glad to follow up with you on that.
Yeah, maybe we can have some draft language.
Okay, that'd be
Present.
great. Super. Okay, that's all under Roman numeral 7. I see we left out public comment on our agenda, but we do want to have public comment. If anybody wants to say anything, we'd be delighted to hear you.
And I'll note that's my error in drafting this.
Well, we didn't catch it either, so.
No worries.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. And would you identify yourself for the record when you get to the mic? Thank you.
I am one of the property owners on North Carolina Terrace,
Okay.
and my concern is about the preservation of the character of Montreat in terms of the trees. And I don't know, I haven't been able to read the most updated version of the zoning things, but I was concerned about the parking lot issue, parking spaces that I read in May. Where it said that within 75 feet of 15, I think it was 15 parking spaces, there had to be a tree of 1.5 inch girth at 4.5 feet from the
The
ground.
right.
and 6 or 8 feet height. And I feel like that is way too little of a requirement for a place like Montreat, because I felt like, well, all the trees in Montreat could be removed and we'd have a few little things and that would satisfy the zoning requirement. So I just would like to request that if that hasn't been adjusted, that consideration for the preservation of the character, the tree, we have a lot of significant trees in Montreat, and that's part of the character of Montreat and preservation of the environment that I would like to be considered in the zoning rules.
Thank you for that. We'll take that up in
And-
July. I've just made a note. And, as I recall, and Mason and Dan or Wade may have a better memory, but we were really thinking in terms of the college and that the existing parking lots there, and reducing the landscaping impact on them, but it may have broader applications. So we'll take a look at that.
Yeah,
Mason or
I'd just
Dan?
like that to be, in terms, since it's a rule for all of Montreat, that for future, we wouldn't have set a precedent of it's okay to get rid of lots of trees.
And you didn't identify yourself as one of my neighbors.
Nancy
on
Hullinger, I'm sorry.
Which,
Nancy Hullinger at
agency?
317 North Carolina Terrace. Thank you.
Mason or Dan, do y'all remember anything about that discussion?
I don't think we made any changes to the diameter of the plantings. Those were in the existing ordinance. But it is typical to, and this would be, those would be applicable to new construction where somebody's building a new parking lot. It is typical to have smaller trees initially planted just because of the cost, and they can ultimately grow into larger trees, obviously, and the planters are designed for the larger trees, but we'll sure take a look at it when we go back to it.
I believe, as I recall, it said for a maximum mature height of 8 feet. So that was alarming to me.
A maximum mature height of 8 feet for
Yeah.
trees?
I believe that's what it said. I may be wrong, but
Okay.
I don't feel, hard to tell God what to do, but Montreat trees usually keep growing.
I'll look real quick.
Thank you. We'll take a look at that and discuss it. Yep. Anything else? I think this may be a world record. Is there a motion? Priscilla?
Didn't want to jump in line if anyone else wanted to make a comment. Thank you, Priscilla Hayner, 319 Assembly Drive. I've spoken with all of you by Zoom where you couldn't see me, but I could see you over the last months. And as I've just said to Mason and to Bill, thank you all for your work over the last 2.5 years or so on the zoning ordinance, and over the last several months engaging with comments that some of us put in relatively late in your process. So I really appreciate your considering them seriously, taking up many of them, as you said, and so many things from us. I think that makes the ordinance stronger, and the other issues that are still outstanding. I know many people will be discussing them tonight, but that's that conversation. What I thought I wanted to just say briefly here is it seems to me, as I sort of reflect on things, and I've been here the last couple of weeks, that Montreat may be kind of at a turning point. It seems like there's so many new developments, houses going up, which is in general fine, but the town is still lacking some of the guidance or restrictions that would sort of help to preserve the character, the historic character, and the natural character as well of Montreat. Some of that is included in various ordinances. Of course, there's some environmental protections, stormwater and steep slope and such, but sort of the big picture in terms of environmental impact of more major constructions, I think needs to still be looked at. Sort of not necessarily a zoning issue, maybe more of a planning issue on your docket. And then, of course, as you all know, the question of preserving historic structures, homes and such, continues to be a concern to many people. Where that should come in terms of permitting, not to make a necessarily a hard and fast rule, but to give it as one consideration. Again, should that be in the building permit stage to look at that? Is there a way to preserve structures rather than starting anew? It, 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 I think it's a question. I partly say this because I know the MRA, as Richard DuBose has said to us in a recent meeting, they feel strongly about preservation themselves. They've just spent many millions of dollars preserving the Assembly Inn and other structures in Montreat. And as he said, they're passionate about preservation. So on reflection, I realized that if such an important and well-grounded and historic institution of Montreat, I mean, central to what Montreat and who Montreat is the MRA, MCC, if they also think, well, we'll preserve some buildings, but some of the other historic buildings that are on their property, they actually are not prioritizing really in any sense. They just have decided it's better to start from sort of a raised ground. Makes me think somehow we're missing something in the equation. And I'm not saying the MRA is against preservation, because clearly they have done that in other places, but for some reason they have not extended that to what we have learned is apparently the oldest structure in Montreat, and the Lord Apartments, where the first Presbyterian church was organized and met for the first time in the very first years of the last century. So it's rather than a specific recommendation, it's more of a comment that I fear that might be a reflection of other difficult years to come. If even the MRA is not sort of recognizing that there is a way to prioritize the preservation at this site and get everything they want. A win-win solution is possible. They can get all of the new space they need by restructuring their planning. They would have actually more bedrooms as they are looking for, more programmatic space in the various ways we've been trying to discuss with them about building a smaller lodge next door, expanding the lodges that are there. It is quite possible. So I'm still hopeful that that spirit of preservation of the character of Montreat will carry over. But it also, again, it goes beyond this particular site and this particular project that will be discussed over the next, I'm sure, many months, and is something perhaps that you all will, in some form or another, need to grapple with. And again, where that comes in, I leave to you all, but just as a comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What, you want to say something?
No, we appreciate it, and certainly historic preservation, I think, is something that the town needs to take a look at. 160D provides for historic preservation in what is part 4 of that particular statute. So there are extensive state provisions if towns want to introduce historic preservation into the mix of development, and they start with the creation of a historic preservation commission, so that a town-wide sort of approach to historic preservation is instituted.
And I took a look at the statute again this morning. I talked with Susan Taylor-Rush yesterday. She pointed out something to me, Mason, I hadn't realized it. And I marked it this morning, that the historic preservation is governed, and the town council designates a commission to look into it. But what Susan pointed out, which I marked, was under 160D 303, maybe 301, that the town council, if it wants to designate such a commission, it can designate one of the existing commissions to be that commission. I think that'd be too much for the Planning and Zoning Commission to do. So my preference would be, if the council wants to do that, they might suggest tonight, for example, that the Planning and Zoning Commission make some recommendations concerning a procedure to go forward. Or they might do the procedure themselves and look into setting up such a commission, as Mason has said. Thank you for bringing that up. there is a formality in 160D that provides for
That's great.
that. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just on the prior landscaping.
Yep.
Section 903.4, it's at least, the mature height would be at least 8 feet in height. So not, at least. So the trees will, as Wade pointed out, God's grace, get much larger than 8 feet. But that's got to be the minimum mature height, so you can't basically put a very small tree in and make that count.
These regulations are pretty specific.
No,
You have to measure it at 1.5 inches out,
Caliper, and that's,
4.5 feet above the ground. And initial height of at least 6 feet shall be provided for each 15 parking spaces. And the expected height maturity shall be at least 8 feet.
so in essence, no door for bonsai varieties.
Okay, thanks. And we'll look into that further. We got a lot of cleanup stuff to do in July, which hopefully that Scott has pointed out. So hopefully we'll be able to do that.
And may continue beyond that.
Yes, with so many lawyers on this commission, we probably will. Okay, is there any other business to come before us? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So, second.
No discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes, and thank y'all all for coming today. And we'll hope y'all come every month. We've missed you the last 2 years. So thank y'all.